You broke up with lawyer Jason a year ago, but during a substitute interview, he brought up the reason for your breakup right in front of you. And this cold, ascetic ex not only remembers every word you said, but also quietly waited for you for a whole year. When you mustered the courage to pursue him again, he appeared at your doorstep late at night in his pajamas, uttering the most touching confession in the most rational tone. Even when facing provocations from his childhood sweetheart, he would unhesitatingly stand by your side. And in the end, this man who wouldn't even let you take your underwear was the first to pull out his household registration book and ask you to marry him. I filled in for a colleague to interview lawyer Jason. Do you have a girlfriend now? Lawyer Jason. Broke up. Would you mind telling me why? Jason looked at me for a moment. Didn't you say you were afraid that if we divorced, I wouldn't even let you take a pair of underwear? His assistant politely pushed open the door in front of me, smiling. Please come in. I silently took a deep breath, curved my lips, and looked up to see Jason sitting in a leather chair, looking serious. Seeing that it was me who entered, Jason seemed surprised. You're not the reporter I had an appointment with. I raised an eyebrow, deliberately smiling alluringly. She's sick. I'm filling in. Jason nodded. Please sit. I sat down opposite Jason, businesslike, yet relaxed and natural. May I start? Jason was expressionless. You only have 10 minutes. I shrugged, took out the list of questions my colleague Julia gave me, and asked them one by one. I rolled my eyes at the last question. Julia was clearly abusing her power. Such petty thoughts. Jason glanced at his watch. 1 minute left. Such a cold mister. Jason, truly ascetic, making one want to. I leaned forward and asked the question. Do you have a girlfriend now? Jason looked at me. No. The questionnaire stated that if the other party said no, I should ask why. Would you mind telling me why? Jason stared at me silently for a moment. Didn't you say you were afraid I'd divorce you and wouldn't even let me take a pair of underwear? I did say that. A year ago, when I suggested breaking up, and Jason asked me why. That's exactly what I said. So, Jason hasn't dated anyone else in the past year. My heart tingled. That's right. Jason and I are exes. We met through a blind date. Before we met, the matchmaker told me a lot about Jason's good qualities. Like how he's a great lawyer, owns his own law firm, and has a steady personality. I forgot all about this after meeting Jason himself, and I only had Jason's face in my eyes. That's so handsome. The information says that his height of 188 is simply my heavenly dish. So when the introducer asked me how I was after meeting, I nodded repeatedly without restraint. I agree. He also had a good impression of me. And just like that, Jason and I started dating with marriage in mind. In the early days of our relationship, I would often marvel at my good fortune, wondering how such a perfect, eligible bachelor ended up with me. 6 months later, the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Indeed, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Heaven gave me such a perfect partner, but he didn't love me. In the 6 months we'd been together, he was always cold and distant towards me, showing little emotion in my presence. To put it a bit dramatically, even though he was right next to me, I always felt like he was a world away, and he was just too perfect. I always had to maintain a certain demeanor in front of him. Most girls probably want to keep a good image in front of their loved ones, right? After a while, I got tired. So, when our families were discussing marriage, I broke up with Jason. Jason only asked for my reason, then nodded and agreed. See? He didn't even try to keep me. He didn't love me. I told my parents about it, and the loving couple scolded me, their unexpected child, mercilessly. I cried that night, and the next morning, looking at myself in the mirror with eyes swollen like walnuts. Well, this girl is still a hero. Leaving Jason's law firm, the smile instantly vanished from my face. Acting natural in front of Jason was just as exhausting as pretending before, but I didn't want him to see that I was still hung up on him, still bothered. That evening, I handed the manuscript to Julia, who, despite being on an IV drip, didn't forget to gossip. What about that last question? You didn't ask it? I snorted. I kindly covered for you, and this is how you treat me? Julia looked guilty and remorseful. Did he scold you? I raised an eyebrow. No, not at all. Lawyer Jason is very gentle, refined, and well-mannered. Well, of course. Is he even more handsome in person than in his photos? Regarding Jason's looks, I have a lot to say. After all, as a seasoned admirer of good looks, anyone who catches my eye instantly is naturally beyond reproach in terms of appearance. I deliberately teased Julia, seductively tossing my hair. What's the use of being handsome? He's not my ex. Julia's eyes and mouth widened, and she suddenly turned her hand into a microphone to interview me. Miss Isabel, do you still have feelings for your ex? I couldn't smile anymore. This meeting with Jason had stirred up the carefully cultivated peace in my heart, turning it into a turbulent sea. I admit, I still like him, and I'm not reconciled. Julia was puzzled. Not reconciled? Did he dump you? I shook my head. No, I dumped him. What I can't accept is that he didn't love me. I spent half a year trying to make him fall in love with me, and I really tried hard during that time. My personality is usually quite fiery, but in front of Jason, I tried my best to rein it in. In the 6 months we were together, I never went to a nightclub or bar, and I even changed my style of dress for him. I gave so much, but all I got in return was Jason's indifference. If a man shows no passion for you, it means he doesn't like you. Julia suddenly looked me up and down. Can I ask you something private? You and lawyer Jason, did you know? Although it was embarrassing, I told the truth. No, he didn't seem to be interested in me sexually. The most intimate thing Jason and I did was kiss. No, that's not right. He could resist me, a beautiful woman, so there must be something wrong with him. I started to feel lucky that I broke up with Jason back then. Otherwise, if we had gotten married, wouldn't it have been a marriage of convenience? Then I wouldn't have to dwell on it, and I wouldn't have to look for an opportunity to see him again. But fate just loves to mess with me. When I wanted to see Jason, I waited a year to see him. When I didn't want to see him, I saw him the very next day. In the 6 months we were together, I became friends with all of his friends. One of them, named Larry, had gone abroad and called me as soon as he returned to China, asking me to come and welcome him back. After work, I went home, changed my clothes, and headed straight to the nightclub. When he saw me, Larry's mouth dropped open, and he looked me up and down several times. Whoa, Belle, have you turned into Neo-Huru Isabel? A little slip dress. Tisk tisk. Have you been provoked? Before, when I appeared in front of them as Jason's girlfriend, I always wore ethereal, fairy-like clothes. But actually, I've always gone for a sexy style. Larry, this unworldly fellow. What provocation? I only found out you and Jason broke up after I came back. If that's not provocation, what is? I rolled my eyes. This is my true nature. And besides, I don't like mature old men anymore. I like younger, puppy types. I flirtatiously tossed my hair, and as I turned my head, I met a deep gaze. Cough. Cough. Jason? Why would he be in a place like this? It was precisely because I knew Jason wouldn't come to a place like this that I came to welcome Larry. Tears streamed from my eyes from coughing, and Larry quickly handed me a bottle of beer. Use beer to stop coughing? A bottle of mineral water appeared before me at that moment, and I quickly took it. As I tilted my head back to drink, I met Jason's gaze again. Luckily, my cough stopped. I capped the bottle and, feeling a little guilty, said thank you. Jason gave a cold smile, leaned into my ear, and whispered, "No need to thank me. It's what a mature old man should do." Did I offend someone? I really was just running my mouth earlier. I'll never be so glib again. I wanted to leave, but then Julia arrived. "Belle, you're here too." I immediately went over as if seeing a savior. "Julia, you just got here. I'll join you guys." I saw a handsome man next to Julia, with shoulder-length, semi-curly hair, looking very much like a struggling European artist. The man waved at me. "Hi, pretty lady. I'm Joy." I nodded. "Hello. Let's go over there." Larry came over. "Belle, sis, is this your friend? Come join us." I turned my head and saw Larry looking at Julia. "Is this your boyfriend?" Julia also looked at Larry. "No, we're just friends." Their gazes met in the air, and I seemed to see sparks flying. I then looked at Joy. And why did his eyes also have sparks? I followed Joy's fiery gaze and immediately saw Jason drinking in the corner. Towards the end, Joy pulled me aside, affectionately calling me Belle. "Can you get me the WeChat of that handsome guy in the corner?" I immediately understood everything. "Why don't you go ask him yourself?" Joy's proud expression instantly vanished. "He's so cold, I'm afraid he'll reject me. Just get it for me quickly." I brushed Joy's hand away. Well, I'd have to ask him if he agrees first. Then go quickly. Joy pushed me, urging me on. To be honest, I also wanted to know if Jason was real. Taking a deep breath, I deliberately walked with a seductive sway towards Jason. People nearby immediately made way for me. Thank you, I said with a slight smile. Sitting down in front of Jason, I cleared my throat. Jason turned his head to look at me, as if watching a play. You know Joy, right? She wants your WeChat. When he didn't say anything, I was confused. Are you giving it or not? Say something. Jason's facial features were stern, and his voice was deep. He sent you to say this? His expression was a bit scary. Okay, he had no expression at all, which was the scariest part. I couldn't keep up the seductive act anymore. I swallowed hard. Yes, Jason's handsome face still showed no expression, but his complexion was dark and gloomy. He stared at me, making my scalp tingle, as if I was being watched by a lion. Give it or don't give it. What are you doing? I chickened out and stood up, wanting to escape. Jason's deep voice rang in my ear. Give it if you want to. I immediately walked away. This Jason was so dangerous. Just like the day I broke up with him. I still gave Jason's WeChat to Joy. He was just too clingy. After that, Julia and Larry left together. Were these two serious or just hooking up? Even rockets weren't as fast as them. As Larry left, he told Jason to take me home. Jason the lawyer as a driver. I couldn't afford that. Just as I was about to step out, I heard Jason ask me, "How are you getting home?" I stepped back, tilted my head, and looked at him. I didn't drive. I'll call a taxi. Jason took out his car keys and pressed them. I heard an unlocking sound, and then Jason said, "Get in." I tilted my head and stared at Jason's profile, liking him more and more, getting more and more addicted. He was still so handsome. Lawyer Jason, do you want to take me home yourself? And maybe something else, The last word. I deliberately let the end of it rise gently and melodically, like it had a hook. Jason tilted his head and glanced at me, his thin lips slightly parted, his voice faint. Get out of the car. I behaved myself. Otherwise, being dropped off halfway would be too embarrassing. The next day at work, Julia, beaming, told me, Larry and I are together. Larry? Still together? What's with you two and your speed? Julia had a very experienced look on her face. You don't understand. If you have feelings for someone, it happens in a minute. Why waste time? I thought what Julia said made a lot of sense. So, whether it was now or a year ago, Jason just didn't have feelings for me. Isn't that insulting? When I got home that night, I couldn't resist and messaged Julia. You know, if a person never does that in their life, it's fine, right? After a while, Julia sent me a video call invitation. Belle, you have no idea how good that feels. I'm telling you, once you try it, you'll be addicted. I'd rather not. Who would I get addicted with? Besides, if I really got addicted, how would I pursue Jason then? That's right. I'm going to pursue him. I just wasn't reconciled. I couldn't keep his heart that half year, so this time I'll try a different approach. If it doesn't work this time, then I'll completely let go. After talking to Julia, I found Jason's WeChat. We hadn't unfriended each other. For the past year, he'd just been gathering dust in my friends list. I organized my words and sent him a message. Joy is Julia's friend, and I've met him. So we're friends too. He asked me for your WeChat, and I felt bad not giving it to him. Please don't be angry. Jason replied quickly, but with just one word. Okay. His attitude really left me at a loss. I rolled my eyes. So, Joy didn't cause you any trouble, did she? Jason, no. I tossed my phone aside. You've got to be kidding me. Jason is a rock. An unyielding rock. I'm not chasing him anymore. My phone vibrated again. I set my messages to do not disturb. Oh, wow. A lot of words this time. Isn't this just an opportunity for me to push my luck? Then let me treat you to dinner. I feel really bad for causing you trouble. Jason didn't reply to my message until the next morning. My heart sank. I went out to cover a story in the morning and didn't have time to eat until around 1 p.m. When I took out my phone, I was pleasantly surprised to find that Jason had replied to my message, and he had replied at 9:30 a.m. But my phone hadn't notified me. How many things has this damn iPhone messed up for me? Jason said on WeChat. Sorry, I was researching a case last night. No need for dinner. You didn't cause me any trouble. This person is really impenetrable. blocking all my paths. Oh, right. He's busy. Which was one of the reasons I broke up with him in the first place. He had so many cases on his hands, and he also had to manage such a large firm, so he didn't have much time for me at all. But when he was with me, he did give me all his money. Of course, he wasn't afraid that I would embezzle it. After all, attorney Jason was highly professional. I searched online for how to win back a man you dumped, and the answer I got was to confess my true feelings and ask for his forgiveness. So, I'll try? So after work, I waited outside Jason's firm. It was completely dark, and he still hadn't come out. If I hadn't learned from Larry that he hadn't left work yet, I would have suspected he'd already gone. There were so many mosquitoes outside. I had more than a dozen big bites on my arms and legs. Splat! Damn mosquito! I'll kill you! Isabel? Huh? I quickly put my hand down, and the moment I saw Jason, I almost cried. Why did you just come out? Look at these bites! Jason's thin lips pressed into a straight line, and his breathing deepened. What are you doing here? I felt so wronged. Since childhood, I'd never cared so much about anyone, and he was still scolding me. But I didn't dare to lose my temper with him now. I hadn't even won him back yet. I'm waiting for you here. I came at 5-something. I pouted. Jason, I'm so hungry. Jason looked at me silently for a while, then finally seemed to compromise. Get in the car. My eyes lit up slightly. Where are we going? Jason, aren't you hungry? But it's so itchy and uncomfortable. I pointed at the bites on my skin, which I had scratched red. Finally, I got into Jason's car. And when we passed a pharmacy, he stopped to buy me some ointment. Wipe it yourself. I took the ointment he handed me, not in a hurry to apply it. Jason, I'm hungry. I want to eat the plain noodles you make. He didn't speak, but I saw his hands gripping the steering wheel tighten. Is he going to hit me? I just want a bowl of your noodles. Is that really necessary? Jason sneered. Isabel, I really don't understand you. I was stunned for a moment. Huh? You don't understand? Isn't it obvious? Jason said nothing more. After a while, he suddenly pulled the car over. We were allowed to park here, but I didn't know where this was. Jason turned his head to look at me. Yes, I don't understand you. I don't know what you're trying to do now. His voice was very deep, as if he was angry, but I didn't do anything. Why is he being mean to me again? I held back my tears, opened the car door, and got out. I'm not chasing him anymore. I'm not going to put up with this grievance. I cried and walked forward like a headless fly, not knowing where I was going. My arms suddenly tightened. I was grabbed and turned around, my tear-streaked face meeting Jason's gaze. What are you doing? I yelled at him. Jason stared at me. Why are you crying? I shook his hand off. None of your business. Jason chuckled softly. Sure enough, you were always putting on an act in front of me before. I knew what he meant. I used to be reserved in front of him, pretending to be a lady, quiet and refined, not even eating big mouthfuls of food, and unable to open bottle caps. What's wrong with that? Yeah, I was faking it. Don't all you men like that? Jason nodded. Yes, so why didn't you keep faking it? I was really annoyed. I faked it for half a year and you didn't like me, so why should I keep faking it? I don't need to wear a mask for the rest of my life for someone who doesn't like me. Jason narrowed his eyes, his voice even deeper. Isabel, you really know how to turn the tables. After that, he drove me home, applied ointment for me, cooked noodles, and left. I still don't understand why he said I was turning the tables. Around 1 a.m., I suddenly sat up in bed, not caring about the time, and directly called Jason. Jason, when you said I was turning the tables, did you mean I don't like you? Jason must have been woken up from a deep sleep by me, his voice still a bit hoarse. It's 1 o'clock. Answer me quickly! I urged impatiently. Jason was silent for a moment. Why? My heart was in my throat. I think I understood why Jason agreed to break up so readily back then. Why do you say I don't like you? Jason didn't speak again. I held my breath, hung up the phone directly, and burrowed under the covers, pounding the bed in anger. Jason, you're always like this, keeping everything to yourself, always making me feel like you're so close, yet so far. Woo woo woo. I cried myself to sleep, half asleep. My phone suddenly vibrated. I groggily answered the phone. and Jason's deep voice came from the other end. Open the door. A minute later, I suddenly woke up and immediately climbed out of bed to open the door. Jason was standing outside, dressed in pajamas. It was only a little past 2. How did he get in? You! Why are you here at this hour? Jason stared at me. To ask you a question. I was stunned. Ask what? Jason, do you like me? I nodded blankly. Of course I do. Jason laughed. A light and happy laugh. He said, I like you too. Always have. Jason and I cleared the air. He had thought I didn't like him because, a month into our relationship, he accidentally saw my true self. So, in his eyes, my quiet and obedient demeanor in front of him was because I had no feelings for him. Every time he kissed me, I resisted. I swear I wasn't resisting. I was pretending to be shy, but I overdid it. He also said, even then, I didn't want to break up with you. I told myself that if I kept being good to you, one day you would accept me. But in the end, you still broke up with me. We weren't even married, and you were already thinking about divorce. So it's all my fault, huh? I overdid it, which is why he didn't dare to be too enthusiastic. Now that I think about it, when we were together, he was incredibly good to me, except for not showing too much desire for me. If he had always been cold and distant towards me, in fact, he's not a very warm person by nature, and he was already much better when he was with me. It's because I'm such a fiery person that I felt he was cold. But then you clearly saw that I was pursuing you. So why did you treat me like that? I just don't like you treating feelings like a game, and I was afraid you were acting on impulse when you wanted to get back together with me. I was a little displeased. In your eyes, am I really that unreliable? His silence was an insult to me. I raised my hand and slapped him. I'm not the kind of person who treats feelings like a game, okay? Don't wrongly accuse me. Jason smiled and pulled me into his arms. Yes, I was wrong. I shouldn't have wrongly accused you. I snuggled into Jason's arms, and the feeling was so unreal. But we really did get back together. Your attitude towards me a few days ago, I thought you were frigid. And then he proved with his actions that he wasn't frigid. If he hadn't thought I was resisting him back then, I might have been swept off my feet by him a long time ago. Jason and I were dating with marriage in mind from the start. So after both families found out we were back together, they started pressuring us to get married. If I told Jason now that I don't want to get married, that I haven't had enough fun yet, would he call me a heartbreaker? I didn't dare tell Jason first. I asked Julia. Julia replied on WeChat. Are you fundamentally not planning to marry Jason? Or do you just not want to get married now? Sitting on the toilet, I quickly typed. It has nothing to do with him. I just don't want to get married so early. Julia, you and I are different. Larry and I are dating, but you and Jason met through a blind date, which means you were aiming for marriage. And you two broke up before, and are back together now. If you say you don't want to get married now, aren't you just messing with him? I sighed. I suggest you have a good talk with Jason. Got it. As soon as I came out of the bathroom, several pairs of eyes were on me, each with an incredibly complex look. I looked at them, then at Jason, and finally, at the TV. I forgot my phone was screen mirroring just now. Great. Originally, I was moving in with Jason, and everyone came to celebrate with us. But now, they've all left, leaving me alone, facing an expressionless Jason. I leaned closer to him and cautiously asked, Are you angry? Jason looked at me. No, you are angry. Although he's usually cold and doesn't show much emotion, I can tell. Jason took a deep breath and held my hand. I'm really not angry. I flung his hand away. You're not angry? I said I don't want to marry you, and you're not angry? You don't love me. Okay, good. This preemptive strike is very effective. At least I'm not as afraid of Jason now, and he's in the wrong. You weren't planning on marrying me either, were you? His deep gaze silently fixed on me for a while, and my scalp tingled before he spoke. Isabel, you're really good at turning the tables. Okay. He saw right through me. I also said just now, it's not about you. It's that I'm not ready to be a wife yet. And once you're married, you have to have children. And I don't want to have children yet. Jason raised an eyebrow. I understand. And I'll give you time to prepare, to adapt to a new identity. So what's wrong with me saying I'm not angry? Why is he debating with me? Does he think he's in court? I rolled my eyes at him and turned away, not wanting to look at him. You just don't love me? To prove he loved me very much, Jason carried me into the bedroom. Please, the love I'm talking about isn't the kind you do, okay? But I didn't resist either. Julia was right. This kind of thing is indeed quite addictive. After some intimacy, I completely settled down. Jason held me. I truly understand you, and this doesn't conflict with my love for you. If you're willing to marry me now, of course, that would be the best. But I won't force you to do something you don't want to do. I poked his chin. Why are you so rational? Jason chuckled softly. Isn't that good? We complement each other. Was he saying I wasn't rational? I rolled my eyes. Look at Julia and Larry. Are they rational like that? But they're so sweet. Jason frowned. You like that kind of thing? I nodded without hesitation. I just love that kind of passionate intensity. So, I should have kidnapped you into my bed the day after our blind date. Well, it wouldn't be impossible. Anyway, I really envied Julia. Larry loved her so passionately and directly. Just like now, the two of them invited me to dinner, and they were being all lovey-dovey across from me, completely ignoring me, a living person. Jason would never be like that. When I flirted with him in public, he'd tell me to stop. I sighed from the bottom of my heart. I'm so envious of you two. Larry kissed Julia. Don't envy us. Mortals like you can't reach the level of a divine couple like Julia and me. I almost gagged. You really are annoying, Larry gossiped. Are you and Jason fighting again? I quickly shook my head. No, not at all. We're doing great. Larry had an understanding look on his face. All right. Stop pretending in front of me. But Jason is just like that. What can you do when you fall for a block of wood? That block of wood, Jason, called me and said he was taking me home for dinner tonight. It was only when I got to Jason's house that I realized I wasn't the only guest. Jason's mother pulled me over and introduced me. This is Jessica, and this is Jason's girlfriend. Jessica smiled slightly at me. Hello. Hello. I nodded and sat down with Jason. Dinner wasn't ready yet, so we sat on the sofa and chatted. I then learned that Jessica and Jason were childhood sweethearts, so to speak. Their families used to be neighbors. After Jason went to college, Jessica's family moved. But before that, they had been in the same school from kindergarten to high school and were very good friends. This actually didn't bother me much. I'm not that petty. But this Jessica is a green tea. Jason's mother said Jason was too quiet, and that only I could handle him, even thanking me for taking him in. Jessica covered her mouth and chuckled. No way. Jason isn't cold at all in front of me. He even fought with a boy for me before. Jason, if you had shown that same spirit you had defending me, why would you need to go on blind dates to find a partner? Oh, I glanced at Jason. You're quite something, kid, fighting for someone. Why isn't he so wild in front of me? But then again, from childhood to adulthood, I've never seen any other girls around Jason except for me. So I was really surprised when Jason started dating. Jessica said in a joking tone, looking at me as she spoke, her expression almost innocent and harmless. My heart tightened. Just then, dinner was ready, and Jason's father and mother told us to eat. Entering the dining room, Jessica darted ahead of me and sat down next to Jason's chair. I haven't eaten at your house in a long time, Auntie. I used to always come here for free meals, and I really missed your cooking after I left. Jason's mother smiled and nodded. Yes, Jessica, that's your spot. Jessica looked at me with an innocent expression. Excuse me, I always used to sit here. I'm used to it. Can you sit over there? She pointed to the seat opposite her. So you're putting me and my boyfriend so far apart, and you're sitting next to him? Do you think that's appropriate? I was feeling annoyed, but Jason led me over, then pulled out the chair next to me and sat down. I glanced at Jessica. Her smile froze for a second. Then she forced out another smile. Jason hadn't said anything, quietly peeling shrimp on the side, then placing the peeled shrimp into my bowl. Just as I was about to eat, Jessica's coquettish voice rang out. Jason, now that you have a girlfriend, you've completely forgotten about me. Your friend. You used to peel shrimp for me too. I want some. This person definitely has a serious problem. Jason looked up at her. When did I ever peel shrimp for you? His voice and gaze were ice cold. I pursed my lips, trying to suppress a laugh. Jessica looked a bit flustered, barely maintaining a smile. What do you mean when? You must have forgotten. Jason. I did not. Jessica finally couldn't keep up the pretense and lowered her head to eat. In the end, Jason's mother put a piece of beef on Jessica's plate, which slightly eased the awkwardness. After dinner, Jessica stayed to chat for a while before leaving. Jason stood up. "I'll walk you out." Jessica was flattered and glanced at me before happily walking out with Jason. Jason's mother saw that I was upset and squeezed my hand. "Belle, Auntie needs to explain. Jason and Jessica are just childhood friends. Please don't misunderstand." Jason's father also chimed in. I smiled and said it was fine, but I still secretly followed them out. Jason and Jessica walked to the main entrance and stopped. The smile had vanished from Jessica's face, and she looked very sad. "Jason, I thought you would wait for me. All these years, I've been thinking about you. Don't say those untrue things in front of my fiancée in the future. Even if she doesn't mind. I do. I'm afraid she'll misunderstand." Jason's voice was icy cold, but to me, it was full of security. I just love men who speak their minds directly. I hid to the side and saw that Jessica was already on the verge of tears. "But I like you too. I told you to wait for me to come back. And for all these years, I've been working hard for you. I told you I don't like you. I only like Isabel. And I think we shouldn't be friends anymore. Goodbye." Jason interrupted Jessica again. "Sob, sob, sob. He's so handsome. I love him so much." Jessica left crying. Jason walked back, and I darted out from the bushes, startling him. I burst out laughing. "Did I scare you? Coward." Although I was very satisfied with Jason's performance just now, I was still a little angry. "You even fought for her." "You never fought for me." Jason smiled helplessly. "That was when we were kids. She was being bullied by older students who were demanding money from her, and I couldn't just stand by." "That's true. I wouldn't stand by either if I saw it." I put my hands on my hips and continued to question. "She likes you? She confessed to you? You don't feel anything for her at all?" Jason suddenly raised his hand and pinched my cheek. "I don't like talking about her. You just need to know that you are the first person I've ever loved, and the last." Oh my goodness. Jason can actually say sweet nothings now. My heart bloomed. "So what do you like about me? Does he like my gentleness and cuteness? Or my pure and generous nature? My face?" Jason laughed. "Aren't you the same?" "Well, I am too. When we met on our blind date, it was our first time meeting. Besides our faces, what else could we tell? But I'm sure that now Jason doesn't just like my face." Jason's mother came out then, holding my constantly ringing phone. It was Julia calling. As soon as I answered, Julia's wailing came through. I was startled and quickly asked her what was wrong. Julia cried and cursed. "Belle! Larry cheated! Wah! Damn Larry! He's a son of a bitch! The rest of Julia's words were automatically muted by me. They were just too awful. Jason dropped me off at Julia's house and left. I asked Julia and found out that Larry had an affair with one of his good friends, and she caught them in bed. "That son of a bitch, Larry!" Julia finished crying, still sniffling. "That scumbag. I wish him many children and grandchildren, all thanks to old Wang." I held back my laughter and comforted her. "It's okay. It's okay. It's a good thing to see a scumbag for who he really is. From now on, we'll keep our eyes peeled." Julia nodded. Good thing Jason doesn't have any female friends. Otherwise you'd be furious." Jason really did, but we broke up today. The next day, when I got home from work, I finally had a chance to talk to Jason about it. I asked him, "Did you go see Larry?" Jason replied indifferently. "I taught him a lesson, but for this kind of thing, a few words from me might not be effective. I know that much. A leopard can't change its spots." I took Jason's hand. "Just keep treating me like this from now on. I won't ask you for any more passion." Jason smiled and looked me up and down. "Are you saying I'm not passionate enough with you?" The thought of Jason, such an ascetic-looking man, becoming passionate in bed. Enough. Enough. Actually, worrying about this kind of thing is useless. What's meant to happen will happen. Besides, even if Jason doesn't think about others, there are still people thinking about him. That person is Jessica. As luck would have it, my new interview subject was Jessica. After the interview, just as I was about to leave, Jessica called out to me. "Miss Isabel, I actually have some private matters to discuss with you today." My raised bottom settled back onto the sofa, and I looked at her indifferently. Jessica said very directly, "I like Jason, and I think you can tell. We also have a history together. I know all about his past." I nodded. I knew this. She and Jason grew up together, so she naturally knew a lot about him. But what did that matter? then you can stay in the past. What I want is Jason's present and future. Besides, we're engaged, and it's very inappropriate for you to say these things to me. Of course, if you're saying these things from the position of a mistress, then your words are very fitting for your identity. You, Jessica choked, her face turning red. I rolled my eyes, got up, and left. Crazy. I've never seen anyone so shameless. But I still underestimated Jessica's thick skin. She actually mentioned me in a later interview, saying I ruined her relationship, subtly implying I was a mistress. She's a public figure, after all, and quite popular recently. Many celebrities in the entertainment industry even promoted her brand before. As a result, when she came out and said those things, I also became famous, but through cyberbullying. Jason also became famous. The trending topics associated with us on Weibo became scumbag and mistress. Some people even called my magazine to complain about me. My editor told me to take a few days off, which clearly meant he couldn't handle the pressure and was looking for an excuse to fire me. I was so angry. Even though I was Jason's official girlfriend and first love, the internet was now a cacophony of voices, and I had no say at all. Was I just going to let Jessica ruin me like this? Was she so great just because she was a public figure? Just as I was packing up to go home, the editor found me again and said with a smile, "Belle, you don't have to leave. Just keep working." "Belle, your husband is so handsome." Julia ran over and handed me her phone. That's when I realized Jason had posted on Weibo, and he'd posted twice. The first was a statement. I, Jason, hereby declare that I have no relationship with Miss Jessica. Isabel is my fiancée and my first love. The second Weibo post was a lawyer's letter, stamped with his firm's seal. He said he had already collected evidence, and he would take legal action against Jessica and the netizens who cyberbullied me. Because of Jason's efficient and tough methods, the public's opinion instantly shifted, and they started to criticize Jessica. My eyes welled up. Before, a big part of why I wanted to get back with Jason was because I wasn't ready to give up. But at this moment, I finally felt Jason's love for me, and I knew very clearly that I truly, deeply loved him. He was really loving me and protecting me with all his might. I couldn't wait any longer. I had to go find Jason. As soon as I entered his office, I blurted out, "Jason, let's get married." The man sitting opposite Jason paused for a moment, then stood up with a smile. "Attorney Jason, I'll wait outside for a bit." "You two talk." Jason got up and walked towards me, chuckling softly. "Get the marriage certificate first?" I glanced at the man again, blushing and too embarrassed to speak. Jason leaned down and whispered to me, "Thinking of backing out? I have a witness." "No, you go handle your business first." I pushed him gently and turned to leave. I waited outside for a while, then suddenly heard crying. When I went out, I actually saw Jessica. "Jason, I'm sorry. Please give me another chance, okay? I can't have a criminal record. Please, I beg you. For the sake of our past relationship, I'll never speak carelessly again." Jessica was crying hysterically in front of Jason, but Jason's expression remained indifferent. "I gave you a chance, but I'm sorry, because your words have caused serious social repercussions for my wife. We'll see you in court." He finished coldly, then walked towards me, took my hand, and led me into the elevator. Looking at Jason like this, the contrast made him seem incredibly warm in front of me. It turned out that when facing others, he was as cold as an iceberg. "Jason, where are we going?" "Home." "To get the household register and register our marriage." "All right, register then." "Who's afraid?" "Once in the car," Jason said again. "Don't worry. After we get married, your life won't change. If you don't want to have children now, I won't rush you. We'll have them when you're ready." I nodded, feeling sweet inside. "It's just..." Jason drew out the end of his sentence. "I'll listen to everything you say from now on. But can you promise me one condition?" "What condition?" Jason cleared his throat lightly, his expression a little unnatural. "It's just, when you go to nightclubs in the future, could you wear a little more?" How could he still remember that? Jason explained again. "I'm not a conservative person either. What you wear is your freedom, and I respect that. But I also don't want to be jealous. I can't control it." "This is the first time I've seen such an awkward Jason. He's so cute." I stared at him, not wanting to miss a single one of his expressions. A suspicious blush appeared on Jason's cheeks. Also, I'm not a little puppy, but I'm not that old either. Not an old man. You're not an old man. You're a vengeful man. No, from now on, you're my dear husband.